who we have been elected to represent. Guide us to be insightful and prudent in our intentions, visions, plans, deliberations, decisions, and their fulfillment. Work through us to provide a spirit of welcome to all in attendance and engage in respectful and thoughtful dialogue and discussion with understanding, wisdom, and humility. Amen.
Amen.
If you wish, prior to reciting the pledges, please take an additional moment of silent prayer or additional reflection in the manner of your preference. Thank you. Pledge of allegiance to the United States of America. Pledge allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pledge to the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. Thank you. Okay. Do we have any comments from the public today? See none. Shelley, any? Did I give you? Did I?
Yes, you did.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you.
Okay. Roll call, Director Betty Doherty
Here.
is here. Director Donna McAleer
Here.
is here. Director Bob Lux is here. Director Dale Walker is not here today. He's out of the state. And Director Mike Wise is here. We have a quorum. We have an agenda. Item number 4, consider and act upon requests for adjustments to or relief from the specific charges imposed by the district. Mr. Mooney, we have nothing. Thank you, Jeannie. Okay, the consent agenda goes from pages 1 through 30, I believe. So we'll come to that one thing and that update. That be?
I think it's me.
Nope,
Not
it's
me.
me.
Well, I mean,
Sorry.
really, Bob.
I know. My problem is whenever I turn it off, I always forget to turn it on. And
Yeah,
it's about
me
3
too.
days later. I go, I don't know, wonder why I haven't got any calls here recently.
People have been wondering why they can't reach.
Okay. So.
I just turn mine off, so call me, remind me to turn it back on.
We have to put somebody on staff to handle.
Okay. I have no questions on the consent agenda items. Does anyone else at this time? Motion to approve?
I want to know
Yes,
if you
ma'am.
approve all of those rates that I read every one of them. Do you approve all those
I
rates?
certainly do.
Well, just a comment. Do you know that you can't live and drive a car and pay insurance on $16 an hour? You cannot. I work with families and I know that it is impossible. I just thought I'd throw that in.
Are these the wage rate scales?
Yeah.
Sorry, my name is Gordon Cranner. I'm stepping in for Brian and Kate out of the state today. Happy to be here. On the wage rates, so we use the Department of Labor wage rate scales, but as a practical matter, no construction in this entire area of the country is that low. The demand is just much higher, so they're making
Yeah,
significant.
they pay a lot more than that. That's the lowest.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that isn't what they're getting.
Well, I'm happy to see that.
Okay. I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda
And I'll second it.
and seconded by Director Doherty. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, agenda item number 10. Receive the San Jacinto River Authority Woodlands Division Report. Chris, Mr. Meeks, good afternoon.
Just a couple items. Well, one item from me and a few from them. On page 32 in your packet is our Woodlands monthly operations report. Pages 32 and 33 had an error in the numbers. One on the graph, one in the actual hard numbers. So Summer has printed and handed out a modified copy.
Okay, here it is.
So you notice it's easy if you look at the graph on page 32 and one handed out. You can see there-
Thank you. Oh, okay.
Not a
Give me that
major
one right
difference,
there.
but it does kind of.
This one.
Yes, ma'am. Say again, please.
So it does swing the numbers a little bit, just a slight variation, 10% or so, but this is the corrected copy if you're.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was rather intriguing that they both hit on 50%. I thought, boy, that's pretty good planning.
We're good. It's not.
I know, you're way past good. You're really good.
If there's no questions on the report, we turn it over to Summer, who has an item, who's then going to turn it over to Dan.
I mean, there's no, is there anything really substantive in the changes aside from that graph?
No,
Chris?
it's the graph and then the numbers, part numbers on the next page.
Okay,
Yeah, groundwater and surface water. fund ratio.
okay,
For the most part. everything.
okay. Yeah, just a point off on each side, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Okay.
Good afternoon.
Summer?
Happy to be here with you all today. I want to take the time to show Miss Betty our appreciation for serving on the strategic plan committee with us this past year.
Why not?
We appreciate your time and your input throughout the entire process. So
Well,
thank
thank
you
you.
very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So.
And has a few items to cover the bullets you have under it.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Hildebrand.
Good afternoon. So running through the rest of the River Authority bullet, I don't have any update on the infrastructure funding today. Some of these next Bear Branch related ones. The Bear Branch drainage project, I'm assuming that's referring to the Bear and Panther Branch drainage project that we're working with the Mud 67. I didn't know that one was gonna be on the agenda, but we are currently working with LJA, is the engineer that's working through that project. They are currently working on the modeling aspect, the existing conditions, working all the way through to the end of this year is ultimately when we're gonna have kind of this feasibility report. So, I don't know what other updates you want beyond that.
On that particular bullet point or others?
That bullet point.
Okay. That's good.
Bear Branch low flow vault lid replacement, we have received the vault lid. It actually came in early,
Oh.
a few weeks early. So we have that on site stored in our maintenance facilities. And we have received 2 bids for a contractor to install the lid for us. And we have selected the contractor and are currently working through the contracting paperwork side of that to get them out here. Hopefully, I would say next month and start getting that new lid installed. And then the Bear Branch monitoring report, that is referring to page 55 in your packet. That is just our monthly summary of maintenance activities at Bear Branch Dam. Ultimately, it's still battling graffiti, cuts and offenses.
Looks like every week you get to do something out there, right?
That's more or less how it goes.
Yeah.
So any other questions for us?
I believe, Dan, that the Bear Branch Dam item was status of the improvements to the dam structure itself. Is that accurate?
Sure, and I think that's almost tied to the infrastructure funding too. With the.
But we did receive we haven't received, but it was approved, the funding through Congressman Crenshaw's office.
Yeah, the omnibus bill.
Yeah.
Is where that came through. So we have essentially been assigned I think a project manager at the Corps. And we are continuing coordination with them on really the paperwork and getting up to being able to move forward with that project. So
But there's been no physical activity done and the dam remains in its functional status. There hasn't been any escalation of the erosion, degradation, et cetera, of the dam.
no, and if you recall a few months back, we did those minor repairs. And that really helped, you know, I guess, mediate some of those concerns with some of the voids and defects in the concrete. So that was really to hold us through this long-term spillway replacement project.
Okay.
So no concern at this time.
Great. As usual, the only comment I'd like to make is on page 45 that the GRP remains in a rather precarious total past due receivables 60 days plus of $28,265,401. I think that needs to be recognized, and I will continue to do so.
I'll just add to that is as of January 31st, so the actual number at this point is likely higher.
Yes.
Because the report y'all get is 2 months
Yeah.
previously, so you're approaching
There's a
30.
significant amount of money being withheld, and I'm sure that it has exponential ramifications throughout the GRP.
What did you say? I just didn't hear the number that you said that it is possibly down.
No, it's not down any. It's actually higher than that because that report's 2 months old.
Right.
So
So,
you're about closer
Probably
to
put
30
30
million.
million.
okay, that's what I didn't hear you say. Thank you.
Is there any significant one big chunk of that, or is that just a bunch of smaller numbers, you know?
There's 4 main numbers. If there's some little numbers, the main number is Conroe, City of Conroe. The second big number is Quadvest. Those are the 2 big ones that are double digits each. Then you have small ones, Woodlands Oaks, Magnolia, the other ones that add up.
Who was the second one? Quad?
Quadvest, private retail company.
If, Mike, just for yours and perhaps others' edifications, to give you a frame of reference, if you look on page 42 of our report, you can see who the top 5 groundwater users are and who the top 5 surface water users are. And that will give you an idea as to who holds the majority of that retainage. What would you call it? That with amount of
Withholding?
held
Yeah.
funds that are being withheld. Short pay. Thank you. Okay. Further discussions on any of these matters? We can move to agenda item 11, the Spring Creek Detention Study. Again, Mr. Hildebrand.
So no real update there either, other than we're continuing to schedule, right, either last week of April, first week of May, the next public meeting for that project. So there'll be notifications going out in the near future once that date's finalized. That would take place here in the Woodlands, most likely at one of the Woodlands Township facilities.
Very good. Thank you. Agenda item 12, Gordon, nice to see you today. Glad you're here on Brian's behalf.
Yes, I'm here on SBA's behalf. Under the attorney's report, I don't have anything really specific. Just want to remind you all that the legislative session is currently in process. We are working with AWDB and some other law firms to try to pass some bills that are beneficial to most special districts. I got asked the question last night at the Metro meeting, whether there's any bills that are, on file to be of concern. And the answer is yes,
Always.
always. They're dead on arrival as far as we can tell at this point, so no question.
Can you have a minute after this meeting? Because I got a whole list of them I'd like to for you to look at and tell me what's gonna be dead on arrival and what's not.
I'm gonna have you take that one. Yes.
I mean, I enter them in the text ledge thing and
Have you seen the summary that they put in your packet?
yeah, I saw the list. Yeah, I compared it to the list that smarter people than I made.
Okay, agenda item 13, consider an act upon district customer communication and information message. Director Doherty, I believe this is in
Well,
your-
unfortunately, I did not get Donna's email, which had some changes that are very valuable. And so once again, I'll get this rewritten. In fact, maybe you and I can sit down and make sure that happens. And then I'll get it to John to implement. And then the next step, I'm saying this out loud, so I'll know it, not forget it. We'll get it changed. Then we'll get John to do it and then send it to our committee members, our directors. And then they need to just approve it, right? Can we approve it by email?
At the committee level, of course,
Mhm.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right. So, and then after that, we can just send it out, can't we? In our billing and in our digital format.
I would recommend if we have a moment and if this is the correct way to do something from a legal perspective, that we receive the amendments that
Okay.
Director
You want to
Director
read
Donna
it on your.
McAleer said, and then we
We don't wanna
we
do
review
anything
them,
but just
discuss them,
change it.
and then discuss, and then vote upon it.
I like it.
Voting on approval or rejection of the amended proposal, and that way you can move it along
Thank you.
faster.
That's great help.
Good.
Just read from my notes. The only revisions I would suggest are the two changes we discussed at last month's meeting. Number one, we increase the homestead exemption to 30,000 for all 65 plus and disabled homeowners. And then number two, we also discussed moving up the reduced tax levy from number 2 to number 1, which is the
Talking about the infrastructure fund.
lowered the 2022 tax levy from 0.16 cents to 0.155 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. So I was suggesting that we move that up above the Dan Crenshaw accomplishment, where we work with Congressman Crenshaw to access 3.6 million in federal infrastructure funds. Because we thought adding these two accomplishments would impress our homeowners more than, so
Mhm, absolutely.
we could discuss it, but I was thinking we could add the homestead exemption and the reduced tax levy and then put Dan Crenshaw third and then,
Excuse me,
followed by
don't
the
we
rest.
have the lowering of the tax levy already in here?
It's in
The
here.
way that she worded it is better. She's got a addition to that.
Would you repeat that, please?
And I thought those two sentences could go
We
together.
need to add, we increase the homestead exemption to $30,000 for all 65 plus and disabled homeowners. And if you want to word that better, you can do
I
that.
think that makes it clearer and it'll be an attention getter.
And then then followed by lowered the 2022, which is already on here,
Mhm.
lower the 22 tax levy from 16 cents to 15.5 cents. We have that on there. And then below that, we'll just switch the order, put Dan Crenshaw, Congressman
Make that
Crenshaw.
third.
as
And,
third.
Isn't that what you said?
I think we want to talk about, we saved our
Mhm.
homeowners
Mhm.
taxes
Mhm.
first, we did with the
Exactly.
infrastructure.
Yeah,
I think they're
those are all good.
very
changes.
impressive accomplishments, but we want to at least highlight that we tried to do this.
Well, that'll be easy enough to change. John is not here today, but I'll get those to him.
So that would be the
Okay.
inclusion of one bullet point, right?
Right.
The homestead exemption.
Would we have enough room to do that? I hope you
Oh,
can
absolutely.
squeeze stuff around.
Sure, there's plenty of room to add one more, in my opinion, so it
Mhm.
appears. And then, and then adjust the order.
Mhm.
Number one
Right.
being the new increased homestead, bullet point.
Mhm.
Second being the, tax levy reduction. Third being the, should that be identified as Bear Branch for the Bear Branch project, or just leave it as it is?
3.6.
Can we fit more words in?
I think it seems as though there's plenty of room between the
Okay.
final here and this looking ahead.
So what do you want on?
I'm just a question. Do you think it's
to talk about
helpful?
specifically what it's for?
Yeah,
So work with Congressman Crenshaw to access $3.6 million in federal infrastructure funds for the Bear Branch.
Mhm.
Bear
Dam
Branch, dam
project.
rehabilitation.
Rehabilitation, sure.
Mhm.
Because then they would know it hits close to home.
Mhm.
It's right in their backyard.
Yeah.
Mhm. Very good.
It's not just in the
That's a little
woods.
general. That's
Right.
better. I
It's-
like that. Mhm.
Any further,
Well, let me just be sure Betty is not confused. So we're gonna make those changes and I'm going to get them to John and then I'm going to get them to the powers that be to get them out. Is that
Just-
correct?
Just,
Or does somebody need to look over them again? I recommend somebody that can remember what we said today to look at what I do. Because that is my biggest problem. If I send it to you, you'll
That's why
look it
I write
over
it
and
down.
okay it.
can't remember until the end of the meeting. That's why I
Well,
write it
that's-
down.
Exactly. And I don't even have a pen today. You'd think I'd have a photographic memory over here. Okay, so you and I will work it.
And then you
Okay.
get the Bear Branch wording exactly.
Mhm.
What did Bob say?
The correct nomenclature for that project, Dan, is the Bear Branch Dam Rehabilitation Project. Is that quite simple and straightforward? Yeah.
Dam rehabilitation.
And to confirm, did I hear that you wanted to do e-blast and bill?
And the paper to, however we stuff them in the bills, that we could do that.
Right, I just wanted to confirm we're doing both.
Mhm. And I love what John did with the back of it. I think those are all really great
Mhm.
things. There where you can just QR on that and go to town looking at stuff. So,
Would it be, again, subject for discussion?
what did I turn it over for?
um,
Just
To
kidding.
put like a little asterisk, as to, with, Director Doherty and Director Walker's name as, participants in the,
I think you need to
No
do
good?
that. I don't want
Okay.
to take blame for anything.
okay. All right, enough of that.
Now, if you
Okay.
want to do it just to Dale's name. I'm okay with that. but-
We'll just leave it, we'll leave well enough alone. The dog that didn't bark, huh?
Mhm.
Let's see. So the amended, motion, which I guess I'll make, trying to remember this, will be to include a bullet item for the increased homestead exemption
Mhm.
and change the order of listing to have that be bullet point number 1, bullet point number 2 becoming the tax levy, bullet point number 3 being the Congressman Crenshaw access of federal funds for the use in the Bear Branch Dam Rehabilitation Project, and then Spring Creek, and then automated meters.
Mhm.
And 2023 remains unchanged. Okay. But the back of the page remains unchanged. Can I have I've made a motion to approve the amended
I'll second it.
report, seconded by Director Doherty. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
All opposed? All abstain? Very good. The amended motion passes. We'll then be able to move that forward. Thank you. Thank you for your diligent work, everyone. Receive the general manager's report, Mr. Peterson.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Couple updates real quick. The Lone Star Groundwater Conservation District did appoint a new member to the vacant position 7. That individual's name is Gary Dent, who resides in Mud 1. So that position has been filled. The next item is, just wanted to point out in your packet towards the end, there's 2 flyers. One is, and they're both for 2 AWBD events that are going to be coming up. One is the spring seminar. It'll be the evening of April 13th. And then the other flyer is actually for the summer conference, which will be in June 22nd through the 24th. If you haven't been before, it can be some pretty good information that's presented at those seminars. And the reason it feels like it's a long ways off, but registration's open now and early bird ends here in the next month. So it gets a lot more expensive.
That's like June. or something, July.
June 22nd through the 24th. Mhm. So just point those 2 things out. I think obviously everybody knows, but wanted to point out at the trustee meeting that the strategic plan was approved unanimously by the trustees last week. So 10-0. So that was very positive. A lot of work went into that. Next is on the One Water topic. The township had a planning meeting recently last week and talked about the idea of bringing back or resurrecting the One Water task force. And so it looks like that actually has some legs to it that I believe at the next township meeting, they're gonna look at a potential vote to push that along and resurrect that program. And we'll certainly be involved as that and monitoring and involved as that it gets resurrected. And then last thing I had was the Public Education Committee got together last week to talk through the progress on the strategic communication plan that is in implementation now. And we included a little packet in the back that really shows a lot of the different things that we're putting out to different outlets, both in print and digital. So some really good content that we're pushing out. The committee also started to discuss, in light of the vote by the trustees for the strategic plan, obviously with that comes some significant infrastructure changes over the coming years. And there'll need to be a pretty significant public outreach campaign to educate the public on what all is included, what the effects are, and things like that. So the committee we're working with SGRA to start building and identifying the framework for that campaign that will proceed here over the next year. That's all I have.
Very good. I assume TACUS remains a work in progress.
We're really close. We're really close. At a toe on the finish line.
Okay. Good. We'll leave it in your capable hands. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Agenda item number 15, was that encompassed in your previous report, the trustees report?
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Unless you had anything additional.
I did not. I do not. We did good work with the Public Education Committee and so forth. You covered that well, and I don't believe there were any other issues of particular relevance to this board. Do you recall any?
I do
I
not.
do not either. Very good. Counselor, any need to adjourn to executive session?
That's it.
Thank you. So we're down to agenda item 18, discuss any matters for placement on future agendas. Anybody have anything at this time? Hearing none, I can adjourn this meeting. Yes, yes, sir.
You have some time to meet. with
Yes.